the support of the United States business to any trade negotiation is absolutely vital. Anyone who understands anything about the way Washington works understands that. And actually the best way to put it darkly is to put it round the wrong way. How much chance do you have of getting anything useful done in trade unless US business is solidly behind it? The answer is zilch. So, whether you want to look at it darkly or look at it positively, it's very important for people like me to have the support of the United States business community. The trade debate in the United States has actually been difficult for the last 25 years that I've been involved deeply in trade politics. People forget that the NAFTA agreement, the agreement that united Mexico, Canada, and the United States 20-odd years ago, that passed through the US Congress by a mere handful of votes and required from the administration of the day an enormous amount of political work to get it through. I recall only too vividly and with great disappointment that President Clinton during his first term did not secure fast-track negotiating authority from the US Congress. So this is not a new problem. And I think it stems, if you like, from the United States after the war being such a dominant part of the international economy, providing all the leadership that the world needed at that time. I've called this the period of the most benign dictatorship the world has ever seen, was the US imposed order after the war, which gave space to the defeated Axis powers to rise up again and become competitors to the United States. And then when the United States said, hey, we've done enough heavy lifting on our own, we need some help here. This is where the level playing field came out of. This is all 20 years ago this shift happened. So this is not a new problem. And I think that a lot of progress has been made in the last 2 years by the administration with strong support from pro-trade Republicans as well. We can now say that the United States, the cynics are wrong, who would say the usual phrase, they walk the walk, but they talk the talk, but they can't walk the walk. We know that's not a fair characterization of the United States. So the passage of those 3 FTAs, which went through by very handsome votes through the US Congress, was a big signal to the world that the United States is ready to move forward on trade as long as it's balanced and addresses serious US business concerns. In terms of the International Services Agreement, I think this meeting here in Washington has achieved quite a degree of momentum. I'm probably risking a little bit by saying this on camera, but I think we might actually get this negotiation started. What we need, let's be blunt about it, is a compromise between the European Union Commission and USTR. And I think if we can find a compromise along some pretty well understood fault lines on this, I think we should be optimistic we can start. The only thing I'd say is, please don't break out the champagne at that point. We're at the moment just talking about a negotiation. It hasn't started yet. So, if we can get it going, that's actually the start, not the finish of the negotiation. So let's, in that sense, condition our optimism. But I feel that the US business, by hosting this conference, has really helped to push this forward. And it's not happened just because of this year. I mean, it's been a consistent pattern of support from major service industries of the United States that's really helped this negotiation. We're looking forward to welcoming not just the US team and the other members of this TPP negotiation to Auckland in December. The next round, having had the last round in Virginia, the next round is in Auckland between the 3rd and the 12th of December. In terms of ideal weather, it's a month too early, but it won't be too bad as long as the wind at least it's not in Wellington. I'll probably have my Wellington citizenship stripped away of me for saying that. But we'll welcome you to Auckland. What I think is even more interesting is that this is the first time we'll be also welcoming formally into the negotiation 2 great trading nations, Canada and Mexico. And this will be their first time in. We have worked very closely with the United States to try and facilitate this. And in fact, it sort of makes a broader point about how the United States and New Zealand work together. New Zealand is what's called the depository, which is the formal international legal term for the administrator of TPP. And that arises from the negotiating history, which I won't bore you with. So all the letters that go out to people are signed by me, not me personally, but the New Zealand Trade Minister, because we have got this formal role. Now, I worked hand in glove with Ambassador Kirk when he and Mike Froman were trying to pull the deal together with Mexico and with Canada in Los Cabos, the last G20 meeting. And I'm on the phone to Ron all the time. I mean, despite of the disparity of size, the size disparity doesn't matter. We work extremely comfortably with the United States on trade and economic issues. It always has, and of course, the relationship really is in very, very good shape. The Secretary of Defense is on his way, if not in the next day or two, shortly thereafter, to New Zealand for the first time in many decades. So you have this really strong relationship. And sometimes, you know, the United States, for all its massive power, sometimes there are things that we can do as a country that thinks along similar lines, but not, we've had our differences, you know that. So, you know, we're an independent state. We make our own decisions in life, and we haven't always agreed with the United States. But most times, when we look at trade and economic issues, we would come down on a very similar position. And I think that's actually very helpful to the United States to have a small country like New Zealand to play that intermediary role. And we do play an extraordinary intermediate role, both in trade and in climate change, and always have, for that reason, I guess. Finally, may I say a special thanks to the US-New Zealand Business Council. Look, you do a fabulous job for us. You always have done. We know that we need business support in this complicated town that is the Beltway. And without that, I don't think we'd make a great deal of progress. So we really appreciate the strong interest, a number of US companies who have bigger fish to fry than New Zealand. Let's be open about this. But there are a significant number of US companies that do take an interest in New Zealand, are prepared to commit some quality time to the Council, and we very much appreciate this from the Prime Minister down to more modest trade ministers such as myself.